And so I'm doing, the last years I've done a lot of portraits because in a way it's another way to participate, create, and it gives me a chance to get in other person's universe, you know, by doing them and transforming them the way I used to transform myself, or still do sometimes. You have no present without past, and you have no future without the present. So of course I'm hoping to deal with the present, and I want my work to be very much of the present, but it's not denying the past, and it's looking towards the future. And right now in my new works, besides doing the portraits, which is one way to create and stay in my studio and block myself from all that noise I feel outside of my world, I'm also using the mannequin in the House of Olympia instead of myself in the installations, unless it's an appearance, a rare appearance, I call it apparition, my performances now, because it's also a way of creating a certain distance, of withdrawing myself. There's a certain detachment, wanting to protect myself in a way, or coming to terms with the new technology, still using it but not having it use me. Like I use the computer sometimes to alter images, you know, when I did Colette in the museums, where I would be in the museums. But at the same time I sew on the canvas, and I go back to very early methods of creation, which is sewing, pasting, almost like very primitive techniques combined with very modern techniques. So one of my last exhibitions in New York was called Poses. And this is me as Matahari and the stolen potatoes in front of the Berlin Wall, which is Eric opened the door, the gold potato. This is earlier, me as a living doll. And this is the living environment I lived in, and I did many environments like this in my days where I would take a theme, but this was at home. So I also created these costumes, these uniforms I call them, because we all wear a uniform in a way. And that blended with the background, which was ruched fabrics. Well, there's a word in German that's very good. It's something like Kunstwerk, which means total, the total thing, total experience. So my work is very much involved with that, where every part of it in a way is a work, but I'm always trying to make a whole picture. This is earlier, where I lived. This was in Cologne in '77, where I created this whole room that looked like the room I lived in New York, and moved in completely, and people could see me like in a big box. Enclosure is also another big part of the work, of us being enclosed. So the box, the room, and I did a lot of light boxes. This is another a small portrait of another person I've done who works with flowers a lot, so I picked up. And most of the portraits have an ancient feeling to them, you know, like they came from another life or another world. Back to now, this is where I've been hiding, doing portraits. These are very early ones from the Leo Castelli, way back in late 70s, early 80s, with children. An art dealer, so they all look different. A couple. So I dress up people and I transform them. It's very theater-like and almost artificial, but in the end it really, I think, captures the soul of the person. This is a couple again in Munich. You could almost feel what is going on in their head a little bit. And it's the mannequin, not me. In my case, I'm using theater a lot, you know, like I said, I use all the different arts, dance, music, but I also use theater, which is the exaggeration of something, the dramatization of something to make it clearer, and also the distance, because if you're an actor on stage, which is what I become in my work, I have the liberty to do something that I may not be able to do if I'm just a normal person. So that's why I create the personas. Oops, I'm going through the wall.